Hello everyone. Today we're going to have a deeper look on doing our yoga from the inside out. And of course your practiced mindfulness that you already are used to doing will help you with that. But there's other tools. And one of the tools we're going to use among many are twists, the actual physical poses of twists. Twists are ideal to really start learning to move in micro movements. So that's what we're going to focus on. And bear in mind that with twists, of course, you can muscle your way through it, not just with the core, but with the bigger muscles in the body. But we're going to start to really do it from the tiny muscles along our spine, which often go without any movement at all, unless we mindfully do that. So we're going to start really focusing on micro movements to begin with, and see how we go from there. So all you'll need, if you have bricks, they're handy today, but you don't need them, so don't fret if you don't have them. If you have bricks, it's always good when you're training the core to have the bricks. Otherwise, we'll just use our isometric muscle contractions, okay? And then, of course, your mat and something to sit on just to begin. So let yourself come into a comfortable seat for just a few moments. Find that alignment and the feeling of your sits bones underneath you. Lower your eyes for just the next few breaths. And just find that nice smooth rhythm to your breath, where it feels really easy and effortless just to breathe in and out. And when you find that easy flowing quality to your breath, then begin to extend it to our usual 6 count inhale and exhale. Let your shoulders ease away from your ears. And now for the next 3 breaths, just focus entirely on breathing 3-dimensionally and a 6 count inhale and exhale. Then slip your eyes open, and as you exhale next, just let your arms come to the sides of the body so you can inhale. Go really wide with the arms as you raise them up over your head and have a lovely little stretch here. And then when you exhale, just simply lower your hands to the heart. Namaste. And let's just remain seated for just a couple of more minutes here, so that the next time you inhale, you can raise your arms up and feel the length you create by using the inhale and the arms coming up. And press down on your sits bones. And the next inhale, press out with your fingers and feel the extension. And slowly as you exhale, all you're going to do is bring the arms out to shoulder height. And when you get there, you're going to reach even more left to right with those fingertips, and then turn the palms upward. Just notice that little shoulder movement as you turn the palms upward. You can maybe feel the collarbones broadening and the breastbone lengthening, but do you feel these lower ribs trying to bow out? It's very typical if you do. There's nothing, mindfulness will take care of this. But if you start to feel that little bowing out in your ribs, what I want you to do is maintain this position, and using your core, draw in slightly and let the let that core engagement help those lower ribs to draw in? And can you retain that lovely length while still not coming into a back bend, just pure extension? From this pure extension point, can you just bend the elbows and place your fingertips on your shoulders? Good. And next inhale, can you get even a millimeter longer through the torso? And as you exhale, just come over into a side bend where the right elbows come down, left elbows go up, and you have a lovely little C curve in the side of the right side of the body. And maybe you can point the right elbows a little more to the floor and the left elbows a little more upward, and just release your neck, however it's comfortable. For me, I find that just looking away from the lowered elbow helps my neck a little bit, but just see what works for you. And then on the inhale, come back to length and mindfully create a little bit more extension. And then on the exhale, you're ready to go over to the other side. I just want you to feel what these little movements feel like in your body. So once the left elbow is now lower, the right elbow is raised up, and you've got that lovely little C curve. See if you can enhance it at all. Maybe by pushing the left elbow a little more towards the floor, and the right elbows go up. Feel a little more lengthening, a little more stretching in that right side body, and let your neck be as comfortable as it can. And slowly inhale back to center. Really long, and just a little quarter turn to the right as you exhale, drawing the navel in, and then releasing on the inhale, nice and long, and then turn, little quarter turn to the left, and then release back to center. Let's stretch our arms up, and then release nice and wide, back, fingertips to the floor. And from here, let's go ahead and come onto our backs. Just lower yourself down. We're going to keep moving, keep breathing throughout now. Have yourself a stretch if that feels good. It always feels lovely to me to have a full frontal stretch when I come to the floor. And see if that works for you. Oh, lovely. And then bring the arms down, bend your knees. Draw both knees in towards the chest. You're going to have a little separation between the thighs. And as you exhale, see if you can encourage both knees a little closer in towards the body, towards your armpits. And as you inhale, let it come away. And keep the movement, keep the breath, just a little, almost a pumping action. As you exhale, the legs come closer in. And as you inhale, they come away. And just notice the sensations, but also, of course, you probably have already noticed this. It's very much like cat-cow. The difference is that to really enhance it, you have to do it from the inside out, because the floor, of course, stops you from the full movements of cat-cow. So see if you can use your core as you exhale and release on the inhale, just by letting the knees come away from the body, feeling that little bit of extension in the spine. Just one more time. Exhaling and inhaling. And then go ahead and extend your right leg out, and let's come into a little half happy baby. So of course, with the left knee tucked in close into the chest, we're just going to raise the left foot. This is going to be so lovely because we're going to actually cozy the body in with our own arms. So just take the right palm, the back of the left knee, and as you reach up and clasp the left sole of the foot with your left hand, we're just going to see what's going on here. So if it doesn't feel like there's quite enough space, you might need to bend that right knee just a little bit. And then as you exhale, you're going to encourage that left knee a little closer in towards the left armpit. Just let your breath bathe the sensations. After just a couple of breaths, if you have bent the right knee, you might find that you can extend it out just a little more, and maybe a little more space ends up being created. Maybe not today, just see what happens and just be totally present for your sensations that are happening. One more long, slow breath in this half happy baby. And then on the inhale, let's go ahead and stretch that left leg up and interlock your hands behind the left thigh and feel a little bit of the pressure of the left thigh pressing into the interlocked hands and vice versa. And just feel that little restriction, or that little isometric contraction, I should say, on that back of the leg. One more full breath with that, and then let go. Stretch out the heel and the hip really long away from each other, so that as you exhale, you can just release that long straight leg to the floor. And then same pose, second side, we're going to just draw the right knee in and come into the half happy baby. So this time your left hand is cupping behind your right knee, and you reach up with the right arm and clasp right around the sole of that foot. So it's always nice to start maybe with a little bend in the opposite leg, so you can see where the body is. And can you keep your hips level on both sides? And on your next exhale, you're just going to encourage that right knee closer into the armpit. Maybe flex that right foot. Just let your breath be long and slow. Maybe you can stretch that left leg out, maybe you can't. Just see. Again, if you really feel like it's just not enough space, then keep it bent a little bit. And then on your next inhale, let's release that effort of half happy baby and just stretch the leg up, the right leg up. Interlock your hands just behind the thigh. Feel the length, and then also feel the thigh pressing into your hands and the hands pressing into the thigh till you feel a very active leg with about half your strength. Very good. And then on your next inhale, you're just going to stretch it up, that right leg, just as long as you can get it, flexing out through the heel. And then on the exhale, you're going to release. Very good. And then let's bend the knees and bring the feet away from the floor. Interlock your hands just behind your neck. Elbows are pointing out side to side. And then let your shins and calves line up parallel to the floor. And from here, I want you to really engage your core so that you feel the navel coming closer to the spine and the hip points attempting to come closer together, and maybe the pubic bone drawing in just slightly and a little bit upwards. And just feel that strength. And then from here, on the exhale, let your right toes just touch to the floor, like you're dipping your toes into a little stream of water, and then back up again. Same exhale. Inhale here. Exhale, left toes come down. Your tummy is really drawing in, and back up again. And that's when you can inhale. So just like this, it's on the exhale, right toes come down, dip into the floor, and then back up again. And then that's where you inhale. Keep going. Remember, you're exhaling on the movement, and you're inhaling with the knees stationary at a right angle above your hip joints. Just keep going like this. And just notice if there's any difficulty. You want to keep the low back engaged on the floor with all the movement. And you 5 to 10 repetitions. This depends on your own core strength, but you really want to encourage that core to wake up now. Excellent. And then when you're ready to stop, you want to take your hands away. Bring your knees closer into the chest and let them separate, and just go side to side, just a little swaying movement. Let your low back feel really released and relaxed. And bring your legs together, tuck your chin in, and let's roll on up to a seated position. Let's just make sure our spine is nice and warmed up, and let's just do a few cat-cow before we continue on. So from the hands and knees position, you're looking right down at your own, between your own hands, weights in the inner hands. And as you inhale next, just lift your heart, lift your tailbone, look forward a little bit to feel the length in the front of the body. And as you exhale, feel the tummy contract as you round your spine. You know what to do. Just roll back and forth a few times, using your breath as the guide for the movement. And you know, eventually it feels as though the movement and the breath become just one inseparable thing. And then just ease your hips down on the next exhale to the heels, and stretch your arms out. Just really lengthen your spine and your arms for just a breath or two. A nice big sigh, sounding sigh the next time you exhale. And then pressing your tops of your feet and your shins into the floor, contracting your abdomen. Let your fingertips just trace back. A little bit of a cat position here. Coming on up into the kneeling position. And then we're going to flip right over into a seated position. So we're going to strike just a little bit of a Savasana, a little boat pose here. So let's all start in the simplest position where you're just going to clasp right around the outside of your knees. And you're trying to find your sits bones and press into those sits bones. Get your spine nice and long, and the top in front of your chest nice and broad. And from here, you might just want to raise your heels and come up onto your toes. And just a little bit of leaning back, but you want to keep contact with your sits bones. So what you don't want is this. So you want to really keep the spine long and keep that line from sits bones all the way up to the crown of your head. And try to come into whatever bow pose seems to be okay for you right now. Maybe 3 or 4 breaths. And let's take it right back down to toes on the floor, nice and long. And can you let go around the knees and place your hands to your heart? But all of this in the tummy is still contracted and you're still long through the spine. So you have to do mostly chest breathing as you keep your core engaged. And from this position of really the next inhale, you're really long. On the exhale, just come over to the right about a quarter turn. If all is well, go ahead and stretch those prayer hands all the way out. The arms are stretched out. Still long through the spine. If all is well, keep the spine long, but you're going to lower the arms and let the forearm touch against the outside of that right thigh, just for a little brace. And then if all is still well, you're going to try on the inhale to get a little longer and taller. And on the exhale, use that arm against the right thigh as leverage and try to turn just a little more. And when you do that, I want you to feel the obliques, those side muscles, kick in just a little bit. If you're okay with this, you might be able to raise that right leg. And if it's too much, just put it right back down again. And just see if you can hold that little twist for 2 or 3 breaths. Every time you exhale, you're pressing into the arm against the right thigh or right knee and trying to turn just a little bit more. Lovely. And then put the heels down, release to center, bring the hands back to center as well. Have a breath. And let's go ahead and come over to the other side when you're ready. So again, find that position on the sits bones. Come up onto the toes so the heels are slightly lifted, and prayer hands to the heart. Inhale tall, exhale over to the left, just a quarter turn. And then again, keeping your core strong so it's mostly chest breathing. You can inhale the arms straight out. If all is well, you can lower and let those arms brace right into the left side of your knee or thigh. And then you have that leverage that every time you exhale, you might be able to go into the twist a little bit more. And if it's okay with your body, you might be able to raise that left calf, that left foot off the floor. It's harder. So if you want to come back to this position with it on the floor, it's absolutely fine. So you choose the level of work that you want to do right now. You want to try to allow yourself 3 breaths. And then go ahead and release. Heels can come down. You're coming back to center. Nice. And from here, let's go ahead and just do a little reverse tabletop or reverse plank. So the reverse tabletop is with knees bent. Reverse plank is with extended legs. You're pressing into the hands, raising up, raising the hips and chest. And then easing back down again. Lovely. Crossing over. Yet again, let's come into a downward facing dog. Just to stretch out. Your hands come a little further ahead than your shoulders. You know what to do. Coming into a downward facing dog. Let it be the best stretch you can have. So if that means you've got to keep your knees bent, that's perfectly okay. Any little movement you need in your downward facing dog is fine. Let your head and neck relax. You're looking right back at your own knees, your own thighs. Nice, long, slow breaths. And slowly bend your knees. And I'd like you to choose, we're going to come into a low lunge now. I'd like you to choose whether or not you would like to come to downward facing dog, the 3-legged dog, and flow through. Or you can certainly just come from your knees and step through, whichever you'd like here. So in this low lunge, your back leg isn't back as stretched back like often we do. It's pretty much underneath your hip. It can be just a little bit back. What I want you to do, if you need padding with your blanket, go ahead and do that now. Because I want you to be able to push slightly down with that knee and feel a little bit of an effect right at the very top of the same side thigh, right there. So from here, inhale, feel that lovely extension. And on the exhale, just simply bend the elbows into that cactus shape. Remember, what you want in this with the cactus arms is you want to feel a little bit like the backs of your hands are trying to push back. And just notice when you do that, it does really broaden your chest a little bit more. That's what you want to feel. Nice extension as you inhale. And when you exhale, just do a little quarter turn to the left, keeping the hips squared. And then inhale back to center and exhale a little bit over to the right. And let's see what this little twist feels like with some leverage. So go ahead and put your left hand on the outside of that right knee and stretch the right arm back, and just notice how that switches on your obliques into the twist even more. So inhale tall and exhale, point back with your right arm and maybe look behind you just a little bit. Lovely. And then release by just dropping that right arm right down, bringing fingertips back to the floor. Let's have a downward facing dog in between. Nice long slow breaths. When you inhale, you feel the length in the front of the body. Of course, you feel those shoulders, the upper arm bones and shoulders open in downward facing dog. You do that by finding your inner hands a little bit more. Remember, you're going to come into the lunge on the other side, and you can certainly come through tripod dog and sweep through, or you can just drop your knees and come on into the lunge by bringing the left foot forward. So you choose the way you'd like to come into this. Set yourself up so that you can come up into a high kneeling position, half kneeling in the lunge, and still feel okay on that supporting knee. And once you've got there, you can release your arms, and the inhale, sweep up really long and tall all the way through the torso. And then on your exhale, you're just going to let those elbows come to shoulder height into the cactus shape. Lovely. On your exhale, just do a little corner turn to the right. And inhaling back to center. A little bit more length before you exhale. A little bit over to the left. And while holding that to the left, let's add that leverage. So you're going to put the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Stretch the left arm back. And you're just going to try to come a little more into the twist. And notice when you do that, using the core, as you turn to the left, you're actually switching on those obliques a little bit more. So just feel the effects of what you're doing. Have maybe 3 breaths in the posture once you find the maximum for yourself. And when you're ready to come out, you just come right back to center. Fingertips to the floor. Tuck your toes under. Come into the high lunge, just enough to step back into your downward facing dog. And release your head and neck. Very nice. And then placing the knees to the floor. Let's all find a little bit of a Sphinx pose here. So come onto the forearms. Stretch your legs out and ease your tummies to the floor. Elbows should be underneath your shoulders. Maybe swivel your hips side to side just a little bit. And just slowly let your body come into the Sphinx pose. So what you want to feel, remember, is of course the tops of your thighs and your pubic bone on the floor. But what you eventually want to be able to feel is using the leverage of your forearms and elbows. You want to be able to get your spine out of that pelvic bowl a little bit more. But at the same time, you're not collapsing your chest. So you have to keep everything broad and open. And just feel that. And just ever so gently, when you come into the Sphinx pose, pressing into the elbows, can you just turn just a little bit, maybe a quarter turn or less to the right with your neck and just a little bit of your thoracic spine. And then coming back to center, finding length, and then exhaling just a little bit over to the left. Slowly inhaling to center, find length, and let's release this pose now by pressing into the palms, letting the elbows splay out, and just laying your forehead on the floor for just a moment. So just coming up slowly from that prone position. I want you to just come into a low kneeling position if you're able to do that. Remember, you can always use your blanket to put between your hips and your heels if that's helpful. If you do have a bricks, I want you to pick one of your bricks up and put it right between your thighs, on the most narrow point. You can, if you've got two, you can even put one between the heels, between the ankles and heels. Again, totally optional. If you don't have bricks, remember, you'll just have to use the isometric contraction of drawing those thighs inward towards each other. But what this does, when you're able to contract your inner thighs doing twists, is you've already started to contract your core. So it's not just with twist. Once you start to contract those inner thighs, you already affect the pelvic floor, and you already begin to affect your deep inner core. And so once you just feel this just for a few breaths before we move on from this position, feel yourself getting nice and tall, and then mindfully, as you exhale, start to either squeeze the brick if you've got a brick between your thighs, or isometrically start to bring the thighs inward towards each other. Just notice what that does into the inner core. Very nice. And let's inhale, stretch the arms up, and let's exhale, arms to shoulder height. Inhale nice and tall, and when you exhale, begin to twist and really squeeze those inner thighs together. So the arms are just coming back to front, just as far as is comfortable. You're not having any leverage of touching body parts. So it's just whatever is in your core and in your obliques that you're able to twist with. Maybe 3 breaths held wherever you go is fine. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release the arms. And one more time. Inhale, reach up. Really get long. Exhale to the shoulder height position, and you want to feel like you're reaching left or right with those fingertips. And then when you exhale, you're really squeezing into the brick or into the isometric contraction of your inner thighs, and you're going into a twist. Now, I'm a little restricted because of where I am, but hopefully you can have a nice swivel, at least into a quarter turn, or as far as you're able to go, with the arms outstretched. Whenever you feel like maybe you're losing the grip, I want you to squeeze a little more just on the thighs, and notice the effect that has deep in the inner core. Lovely. And then let's release on the inhale back to center, and let go with the arms. Very good. And from here, let's come into your downward facing dog one more time. Release your head and neck as much as you're able to do. And feel yourself pushing the floor away. Feel the very tops of those thighs, those thigh creases going up and back as much as you're able to do. And then slowly bring your arms just a little or hands rather, just walk them in just a little bit closer, and space your feet out nice and wide. Maybe get them a step or two closer as well. And then feel the weight settle right back into the heels. So all of your weight, as much as you can, is in the lower body, from the hips all the way down the legs. Just feel that. Very nice. And then let the left hand come right about underneath your head. So you can take the right hand, it's free, and you can clasp right around the left ankle. And then
I want you to use your bicep strength of the right arm and start to pull as if you're trying to pull that left leg closer in. What I don't want you to do though is bring the torso closer to the leg. In fact, I want you to resist that and maybe even bring the torso away from that left leg, but feel it just isometrically, like you're trying to bring that left leg closer in and you feel the right bicep trying to pull a little bit. And then resist it with the torso. Let the head and neck be relaxed. And then release. Right hand goes right underneath your head. And you're reaching now. Left arm to the right ankle. Same thing again. You're just going to pull using that left bicep strength. Pull on that right leg. And you're going to resist the torso going closer to that right leg. Let the head and neck relax. And 3 breaths is usually fine. Just try to find the place where you feel a really good twist and stretch. For me, it feels almost purely stretch, but just see what it feels like for you. Very good. And let's release to center. And from here, legs are still nice and separated. You're more or less in a wide angle forward bend. If you've got a brick, you might want to put it underneath. Not required again. You may not even need it. Come into your wide angle forward bend as much as you're able to do. The feet are strong, legs are strong, and you just let your lower body fold over your legs. Let the head and neck relax. And then just a little bit of effort, we're going to come into a twist. So press your left hand either into the brick or into the floor. And you're going to bring that right arm up and over your head and reach up to the ceiling as much as you can. Now I want you to assess, is it easier for you to twist with the arm pressing up towards the ceiling? Or would you like to bend the upper elbow and just lay the back of your hand on your hips or lumbar spine? And just see, maybe doing that can let you get more of a twist by really pressing into the hand that's on the floor and raising up on the right shoulder and right side of your chest a little more. When you do that, remember both feet are really rooted and grounded into the floor. And then release down. Right hand goes right where the left hand was, and we're going to try the twist on the other side. So first, you're just going to let the left arm go sweep up and be extended. Then you're going to assess, can I get a little different of a twist if I bent that upper elbow and placed the hand on my lumbar spine and just see. And then you might be able to press into the hand that's on the floor and lift your left shoulder. Feel as though those inner thighs are trying to squeeze a little closer together. You're not actually moving the legs, but just see what that does to the pelvic floor and a little more to the inner core. Lovely. And then let's release all the way down. If you'd like to just relax your head and neck for a moment, that can be lovely. And then when we come up, you might want to heel and toe just slightly closer together before you do this. Bend your knees generously. Place your elbows rather on your thighs, and let's all come up to standing from here. So just come on up to standing, and any little movement you need is fine, but we're all going to come into Tadasana together. Just let yourself move a little bit where you can lean your weight back into your heels and feel the strength by pressing into the feet. You can feel the strength in the legs, but also the length through the spine. It's really important. Let's just do a little vinyasa here where you're inhaling the arms straight up, keeping mountain pose,
as you reach up and find length. And exhaling, arms to shoulder height. And pausing. And on the inhale, you revolve the palms upward, pressing into the feet. You're just making sure those lower ribs don't bow out. And exhale the rest of the way down. Just a couple more times like that. You're inhaling straight up. Feel that lovely length. And then you're exhaling, arms out to shoulder height. Nice long, slow breaths. You're inhaling, revolving the palms upward and pressing into the feet, finding pure length in the spine. And exhaling, releasing down. And one more time. Inhale, reaching the arms up, pressing into the heels, feeling the length. Exhaling, arms down to shoulder height. Inhaling, revolving palms upward. And exhaling, releasing. And then from here, just make sure you're standing at the very tops of your mat. You're going to have just a tiny little vinyasa here, using the 3 warrior poses. So from your mountain pose, let all your weight go into the left leg, pressing into the left heel, and feel the effects all the way up into your left hip. So you can just so easily raise your right leg. And from that, you can put your hands right on your hips and step back nice and long with that right leg and find yourself into warrior 1. So make sure the legs are where they should be, the toes are where they should be, and when you get that right, you can let your arms drop down on the exhale so you can raise them all the way up over your head on the inhale. Just have a breath here and see how much you can straighten that back leg. And on your next inhale, you're going to come up onto the balls of both feet and pivot into your warrior 2. You may need to move around just a little bit and find your perfect warrior 2 and sink down just as low as is comfortable. At the same time, you want to be able to keep that back leg really long. 3 long, slow breaths. And from here, pivot onto the ball of the back foot, back to center, placing the hands on your hips, maybe taking a couple little steps forward. And can you come directly into warrior 3? Now, I find it easier to start in the beginning pose that we just did with the little marionette string, lifting my right heel, or right knee rather, and then coming in to warrior 3. But I want you to find what really works. Sometimes just going for it helps. You got to find the stability in the standing leg, but maybe not come in increments and see if it helps. What you're trying to do, whatever version, if you can't get your back leg all the way out, you want to try maybe even just lifting it off the floor just a little bit, the back leg, and try to find just a little stability in that standing leg. Nice, long, slow breaths. Lovely. And then coming back to your Savasana, rolling the shoulders up, back and down a few times. And finding that position of strength and stability in your mountain pose. And as you're ready, you're going to shift the weight into the right leg. And again, you want to find that point of strength where you feel the weight really going through the right foot and the heel, and you feel the right gluteal muscle engaged. And then you can raise the left knee off the floor. Find your balance there first. And then you can put the hands on the hips and step right back into the warrior one position. And you take just the moment you need to arrange your legs so it feels safe and secure. And when you find that, then you can drop the arms and raise them back up on the inhale. What you want to feel in warrior one, remember, is real length through the side body. So you don't want to feel like you're crimped and compressed in the low back. And sometimes that means you may have to just diagonally come forward just a little bit and press a little more back in the back leg. So find what you need to feel the effects and the benefits of warrior one. And when you're ready to segue to warrior two, you need to inhale and lift up onto the ball of the back foot and pivot into your warrior two. And then settle yourself. You can move around a little bit and really make this your own. When you find it, you're just going to be there for maybe 3 breaths. And then we're going to slowly pivot back to the front, leading with the core so everything is secure and stable. And then maybe take a couple steps to come out. Very good. And continue on with warrior three, your version. If you can get your leg directly back there, that's wonderful, and it's actually hard work and advanced in order to be able to do that. But if you've got that far, you want to go ahead and really engage the gluteal muscle in the back. So, and try, as if your leg really is all the way back there, you want to try to get as long as you can through the spine, through the back body and through the arms. And slowly you can come right back out and end up in Tadasana. And in your Tadasana, leaving the hands to the heart, lower your eyes and just have a few long, slow breaths. And then we're going to take it right back down to the floor again. And once you're down to the floor, let's go ahead and recline all the way back. And when you're on the floor, just have whatever little stretch you'd like to have. And what might feel really good to all of us is just a little very simple flowing vinyasa from here. And so I invite you all to follow along, soles of the feet to the floor, arms to the sides of the body, and let your feet be as close in towards your sits bones as is comfortable, as your knees allow. So knees are pointing straight up to the ceiling. So at first, as you inhale, the arms are just coming straight back, and maybe you can get the backs of the hands on the floor. Maybe you can't, just see how you do. And as you exhale, the arms come back again. As you inhale, the arms flow right back behind you. Your shoulders are flexing as much as they can, and then you exhale right back to the starting position. And then we're going to get our hips involved and our legs involved so that the next time you inhale, you're going to raise the hips as you raise the arms, and you're just trying to get those hips as high as you can comfortably, and let the neck relax or lengthen rather back as you do that. As you exhale,
You're going to lower hips and lower arms to the floor. Very familiar vinyasa. Let's just take off and do this on your own breathing pattern so that as you inhale, arms rise and hips rise. You want to press into the feet and rise those hips as much as they can. And then you want to exhale and roll back down again. Just like that. Just a few more times like that. Grounding your feet into the floor as you raise your hips and arms. And when you exhale, you lower back down again. And so the next time you inhale, you're pressing into the feet and being really rooted there. But this time, as you exhale, I want you to leave your hips risen as much as they can, much as they are, and just lower your arms. And then as you inhale, you're rising up with the arms again. And this time as you exhale, you're just lowering your hips. And as you inhale, you're rising up with the hips again. And then when you exhale, lower hips and arms to the floor. And last time as you inhale, rise up with hips and arms. And as you exhale, lower just the hips to the floor. As you inhale, you're rising up with the hips, pressing into the feet. And as you exhale, you're just lowering hips and arms to the floor. And just take your time here and raise your left knee and interlock your hand just above that left shin and stretch the right leg out. Just have a few breaths where you're just rolling that left knee in towards the body as you exhale, and you're extending out through the right leg as you inhale. And then just when you feel ready, we're going to switch sides. So that you're exhaling now, the right knee is just being gently coaxed closer into the body. And when you inhale, you're trying to lengthen the left leg just a bit more. Very good. And then as you lower the right sole of the foot to the floor, let the left sole of the foot join, and so both left and right soles of the foot are on the floor. Let your elbows be nice and close into the body. What I want you to do is just lift your hips up on the next inhale and just very gently set your hips just a little bit to the right. Yeah. Stretch the left leg down, bring the arms out to shoulder height. And then as you raise the right knee just a little bit, I want you to exhale and take it over to the left, just as much as it can. Might be really nice now to support that right knee. Most of us are not going to get that right knee to the floor. So if that's the case for you, it will be for most of us. You can actually put your left elbow on the floor and cup that left hand so it holds that right knee. And you can relax as much as you're able to do. And think about everything you've already learned just for a moment. I want you to feel as though the inner thighs are contracting slightly, and you draw the inner core in on the exhale, draw up on the pelvic floor, and just see if your spine wants to come any more into a twist. You're not forcing, remember, you're just doing those movements and seeing what happens. And then release the effort. You're holding onto that knee, hopefully, so it's totally stable. And then I want you to release all effort in your core. So the core is not engaged, and just see if that affects your twist any at all and the supported way you're holding your leg. Lovely. And then using your hand to help, let's go ahead on the exhale and move your right leg back over to the midline of the body. And both soles of the feet meet in the center. Resituate yourself, reseat your hips. And now we're going to raise up again with the elbows on the inhale, hips rise up. And this time you're going to set your hips over a couple inches to the left. Right leg goes out, extends out, and left leg comes in towards the chest. And then we're going to come into a twist on this side. So as you exhale, just go ahead and let that left leg come over the midline of the body. And remember, you can use your right arm as just a little stabilizer. And just find your twist position first that's comfortable. And then start engaging the inner thighs and the pelvic floor and core as you exhale. And see if that encourages any more of a twist in your body. Just a few tries like that. And then we're going to release all effort and release our core. And just let go in the twist. And when you're ready to come out, you want to exhale and just let that left leg come back to center. Lift up both feet and place your hands right on top of those knees. And let's draw little circles now. Just a few, maybe 4 or 5 times. And then you want to reverse the direction of the circle. And then from this position, go ahead and widen the knees. You can hold on with each the same side hand and wrist. And let's sway a little bit side to side. I actually feel very complete right now, but if you would like to do any final little pose or stretch, please feel free to do that. And very slowly we'll all end up in the final relaxation of Savasana. So when you come into the Savasana, remember to allow those few moments to just let your body weight surrender to the floor. And just feel that lovely sensation of heaviness as you release all effort. And then for the next few breaths, just see, can you make your exhales a little bit longer than your inhales? And if it helps, you can count the first few breathing repetitions of inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like that. And so all you're trying to do is just allow your exhales to be a bit longer than your inhales. And after a few breathing repetitions, you'll probably find that it's nice just to let go of all control of your breathing. Just allow the breath to be spontaneous and natural. And just for a moment, be aware of all the parts of the body that are touching the floor. As you just continue to breathe long, slow breaths. Now, with a focus on twists, often it is the body can become really relaxed afterwards, and so we will end in Savasana. For those of you who would like to stay a little longer, you can do that as long as you'd like. And for those of you who would like to close out with me, just hands to the heart. Namaste. Thank you. See you in the next video.